Hello everyone, my name is Dellair Youssef and this is Revision Soziokultur podcast. One day a friend of mine sent me a link and told me to apply for this job. It looks like it fits you. I took a look and I said, okay, this looks interesting. Let's apply. I did. And then I had an interview with 3 nice people. I made some of my so-called stupid jokes, but thankfully they liked them and gave me the job. This job is, and I'm reading from their website, looking to commission a digital artist for a storytelling commission between April and December 2022 to create a 6-part multimedia diaries. This commission is open to artists globally. You must be bilingual, German-English. So, I have to do what they call multimedia diaries on the topic of socioculture in Germany by working with 2 other artists, an electronic musician, Benjamin Berry, and a comic artist, Azam Mazoumzadeh. And I have the freedom to select the multimedia form I want to profile 14 different projects. I decided to make 6 short videos, one for each part of this diary, and a podcast, which is the one we are listening to. In this podcast, I will host different projects that interact with the concept of socioculture. I wanted to understand this thing and what it means, honestly, and from the beginning. One of the main reasons that made me apply to this job was to see the world with different eyes, to get out of my comfort zone and try to talk to others, to other artists who live and work out of my circle. I will start with asking you who you are and how you like to introduce yourself.
Yes, as a person, I don't want to be to introduce myself. I work in Roma Center, and we are a migrant organization of Roma that was founded by Roma from former Yugoslavia in 2006. And we are working on different topics. That is, for instance, mainly it's anti-discrimination work, but also empowerment work. We work with the Roma community, but also with the mainstream population. So the anti-discrimination work is mainly focused on the mainstream population. We are doing some cultural work or socio-cultural work. We organized, for example, theater workshops, journalism workshops for Roma women, or we organize sometimes concerts. We work with musicians or support Roma musicians. But also we are doing a lot of networking work, which is also a main part of the current project. That is to bring Roma organizations and Roma activists together to work on important topics, to empower the community and to work on anti-discrimination and other topics that are important for the community and for the improvement of the situation of Roma in the society. So other topics are also commemoration on the Holocaust and also the right to stay, because a lot of Roma from Yugoslavia have no right to stay until this day, who fled in the 90s and are still in a difficult situation until right now. So these are main topics of our work.
Okay, tell me a bit about the project. Like, how did it start? You said it started in 2006, right? How did it start? Who are the people working there, and how many people are working there?
In the Roma Center, or now in the project from Fonds Soziokultur?
In Roma Center.
In Roma Center, yes. In 2006, I personally was not there, so I just can tell you what I know. It was founded by Roma from Yugoslavia who fled in the 90s to Germany. And there was, back then, there was a huge problem about the right to stay in Germany for a lot of Roma people, and who needed help to in humanitarian aspects. So they needed support to go to how do you say in English, Ausländerbehörde and
the foreign office.
Yes, and also to, I don't know, who needed translations or dolmetsching and other support, and who needed a platform to yes, to organize and to support people and their aims, their yes, what is important for them and for their in a political and also in a social and cultural way. And this is one main focus of our work until today, but also then the other main focus came over the years. Well, from the beginning, also this commemoration work was also important. For example, from I think 2009 beginning, there were these international youth meetings in Auschwitz and also in other commemoration places. So Roma Center brought together Roma from different countries of Europe in these commemoration places to work on their yes, their past and present, and because back then there was no or almost no recognition of this of the Holocaust against Roma in Germany and also other European countries. For example, nowadays the 2nd August is the International Commemoration Day of Roma Genocide. But back then it was not an official commemoration date, and that is through to this kind of work that it was recognized officially. And yes, this is also an important part until today, this commemoration work. And the other is the anti-discrimination work that was also always an important part, but yes, it was mainly in 2015 we founded the Roma Anti-Discrimination Network, that is German-wide and also international network from Roma organizations and supporters and other organizations and people who work together on anti-discrimination topics. So this is until today an important part of our work. Yeah,
That's like sounds super important actually. I've been told by a colleague of mine that you have a story to tell with your project, you know, and on your website and what you're telling me, I see that you're like self-organization that works on social participation of Roma. You work like anti-discrimination, and you work for political education, empowerment, active participations. You also focus on, I don't know, skills of Romans, you support them in social and legal situations. That all like sounds super inspiring, but how do you do that in practice? You know, like what tools you have to do that?
Mm-hmm. Well, we have a wide range of methods to do this. One is this kind of, for example, workshops that we do for different groups, like a mainstream population, but also Roma groups. Networking and networking meetings are one part. Other parts are this public work that we do. We write articles or do video clips, or for example, some of us are very into comics, who use, for example, comic figures that are Roma, like the Dr. Doom or a Scarlet Witch, and they research, or they from the old comics, they take these figures and research their backstories, and we try to show how these comic figures are part of how the Roma history or how the Roma culture is part of these comics and these figures, and how, for example, the problems of the Roma community, like discrimination or well, I don't know the English word right now, or the Holocaust, and this is shown in the comics, and how these comic figures fight for their rights and for the rights of their people. And this is important. For instance, one important fact is that the Roma identity of these figures is in the popular movies, it is not existent. So we are re-showing these elements of these figures that is who was taken from them in the popular, nowadays in the popular in the pop culture, but was in the original, it was part of the pop culture and of their of these figures. This is one part, and then we are, like I said, we are doing a lot of in this project. These networking meetings are important, so we met, or in person or in online, to work on different topics, to bring these also into the politics. So, for example, we now, because of this Ukraine situation, a lot of Roma are fleeing from Ukraine, and they are very much discriminated against in Ukraine, and also in the countries where they flee to, so also in Germany. And we made together we wrote statements or published demands to the politicians. So we made, together with other Roma organizations, we wrote a letter. What is the problem, and what do they need to change the bad situation of the Roma refugees from Ukraine? And then we were we were invited to the Bundestag and talked to some politicians or workers from the ministries, how to improve the situation of those people. And also we were in Poland and in Czech Republic to visit refugees from Ukraine and to film and make photos, and to interview those people. So how is their situation in Ukraine? How is their situation in Poland and Czech Republic? And what are their problems? And we documented it. The report on Poland is already online, the other not yet. It will publish soon. And so we show the public how those people's situation is, because there are a lot of bad stereotypes reactivated with this war. So these people are facing a lot of racism, and we try to show the reality to work against this kind of stereotypes and racism.
Okay, and well, you are based like in a city of your center is in Göttingen, right?
In Göttingen, yes.
Yeah. How does this work affecting the local community in the city? Do you feel like any change? Do you feel like you like doing anything to like make people, locals feel the difference because of your work?
Yes, that is we are mainly working, we are locally working, so we for the local people, a lot of our work is this counseling work. So they come to us when they have, for example, problems with their right to stay. We help them with this, or we are working in different local networking groups to improve their situation. And this is also working, but we are mainly working on a national level. So our primary goal is not to improve only the situation in Göttingen, but on an overall national level. So this is, at the moment, it is with the new government in Germany, I have the impression that it is better, that now the situation is slowly better. But also in general, there was a lot of work, for example, this long-term anti-discrimination work, and always addressing several problems that in the end, now the result that, for example, there is an a person who is in charge of anti-Gypsyism on the government level. That is a result of long-term work that is done by the community, so by organizations like us. And this was hard work, and it took decades, but now there's I think there's a chance that things might be better, but still there is a lot of problems. So, for example, these problems from the Roma from former Yugoslavia, part of them have no right to stay for decades, and I don't think it will be better soon. So
I'm like thinking now what critics your job gets, because I think like you are like working with how to say German people, but you also, like you said, like on the government level, on the local level, but you also work with the non-German people, the Romans coming from different countries. And I'm wondering, how does that work? Yeah, like what's like the difference? And because I live in Germany too, and I see how like sometimes there's like a lot of racism, you know, like everywhere. So I'm wondering like if you get any critics from like people, or if it's like sometimes you get, I don't know, racist act against your work, stuff like that.
This, yes, for example, we get sometimes in Facebook or in this level, we get hate speech or something like that. But the real serious topic is rather that the work we do is by the people who doesn't like us. It is, for example, ignored. When you say something they don't want to hear, they ignore you. But also, like for in local level or in different cities, people, that is not only our problem, but in general, that for example, the local governments prefer to work with white organizations and not with the Roma organizations or other NGOs from the communities.
How do you face that problem?
We try to talk about it, but yes, it's hard. I don't know. It's for example, in our city, we don't work that much. We go to the cities or to work with people who want to hear what we or who want to really change things. But with the people who don't want to change things, you can try to talk and you can try to work with them. For example, we make sometimes workshops for people who work for the city or for schools, because in this not organizations, in this kind of places, there work a lot of people who have a really impact on Roma children, and often this is they impact their lives negatively. So we have to work with them. We have a good kind of work is when you work with people who are studying. So for example, students of social work or students for being teachers. To work with them is really important because they will influence people's lives, and it is important that they understand how they will how their work and how their behavior will influence people's lives. And also to sometimes a problem is that they don't understand certain behaviors of people, and they say for example, this is part of their culture, but it is in fact not part of the people's culture, but it is a part of the circumstances they live in. So, and they don't understand that, and so they have stereotypes, and it is important to make them aware that it is stereotypes and not a reality or part of people's culture.
I will go back to the change, but I want to ask this question first. As I understand your work, you have like this kind level of politics in your work, let's say. So you are mostly activist, like your work is like activism. But you also, as I saw on like in my research on your website, you have like cultural events too. And you do that, try to deliver your message through culture as well. And my question would be like, what is culture, and who decides what is cultural event, what is political event, and does always culture needs to have a message? How do you decide what culture what is culture and what is not, you know?
Yes, we try not to make these cliché cultural events for not to reproduce clichés about Roma culture. So we focus mainly on, for example, support Roma artists, musicians, like, for example, hip hop, or also painters, or we work together in theater. We, for example, we had also with Fonds Soziokultur theater workshops for young people from different communities, where it was mainly focused on migrants or people, but also different people who came together and expressed their wishes, their visions for the future, and so on, so they can make what they want and have a possibility to express themselves. That was very important, also as a part of empowerment. Yes, and we had also workshops on writing, how people can express themselves in writing, for example, with refugees, but also we had some years ago workshops for Roma women to like journalism workshops, where they can choose what they want to work on. But I think that mostly in our cultural work, it has to be some kind of political element in it. So, for example, the element of empowerment, that people can express themselves, that they can have a possibility to say what is important to them and to show what they want to show, but also as a means of anti-discrimination. And yes, this anti-cliche element is also important.
Okay, I will go back one step back. You're aiming to have an impact. You want to change things. You want to change the law. You want to change the mainstream look to the Romans, and you want a lot of things to change a lot of things. But what does a real change look like for you?
A real change would be that all people can live free and live and express themselves and become or what they wish. So important is to change, really to make this change, that each person have the possibility to express and to become who they want to be and to have a fulfilled life. So this that everybody has the same rights and the same chances in our society, because now it is really bad. For example, a lot of Roma children have not the same chances as other children in our society, and that is really shameful.
Okay. One part of why I'm doing this podcast is to understand what socioculture is. So I'm trying to ask this question because I like, just like the term of socioculture, socioculture in English is a bit new for me. And when I got the job, I was trying to find out what is that. Nobody could tell me exactly. So I thought I do the journey and to discover what is socioculture. So I'm asking everyone, what is socioculture? How do you define it yourself?
Yes, I also have no definition. So what I suspect it's when you take means of culture and use some political or social elements in it, when you don't sit in your room and paint something, but when you go out, meet with other people and create something with other people that has an impact on yourself, your community, on society. So something like that.
Nice. And you got this fund by Fonds Soziokultur. What does that fund do you to your project? Does it change your plans if it has any impact on you?
Yes, this kind of a huge part of the project is these networking meetings, which is very important for us to bring to talk together and to forward the politics and to create a change in politics or in the society. So to talk together and discuss together what it has to be done to make the situation better. And for example, we met in Hamburg on 8 April. That is a World International Roma Day. So from all Germany, Roma organization came to Hamburg to talk together what is now the situation and what has to be done. In Hamburg, we organized, for example, support for Roma in Ukraine. And that was the chance that we had through this project to come together and organize something for people.
Nice. What are your plans for future?
In the project or in general?
In general.
Oh, yeah. Yes. We are planning on this networking work is very important, so we want to go on with this, and we're planning bigger congresses or international come-togethers, so we can plan further work together.
This podcast is supported by Fonds Soziokultur. The music is composed by Benjamin Berry. See you in the next episode.